When does a game go too far? When does a video game push the boundaries of rational behavior within the motivated activist? So, alright, today I'm talking about BioShock Infinite as well as general games who have pushed that boundary, such as, Postal 2, which was over the top, excessive violence, which, of course, is at the end of the day not as bad as you would think. It's just really, really violent. And it just does this on purpose because it can. It's sort of like that B-rated movie that you always go see. Even though it has the over-the-top, very offensive things in there, you somehow be entertained by the fake fictional elements to it. However, a game such as BioShock Infinite this time around actually features elements and takes a lot of transcript from a lot of actual history, which is quite interesting. Characters such as Booker and Elizabeth, they all have some sort of caderance towards history. Now, of course, I'm not going to break into storyline with this too much other than some of the setting, which is really just going to build a little bit around that. So, therefore, I'm going to keep my best mouth closed when it comes to storyline, so I'm not going to say anything truly to that. So, alright, the game itself has a lot of elements in this, such as segregation, racism, and just that is pretty much the big premise of this game. It's sort of like the whole Civil War element, which you will notice that throughout the game. And this is quite interesting because, again, it sort of pushes that boundary, that envelope, where you kind of go, wow. Because most of the stuff they do bring up in the game, somewhat, if not did happen, which is very interesting and fascinating. And this is the funny thing, too. A lot of people will be offended, and very bitchily so. However, it's just like reading a history book to get these facts, so that way you can complain about it after. I mean, it's just like reading a history book and flinching. It's like you're not supposed to flinch at this information. You're supposed to look at it and go, you know what? I'm not going to do that in the future for our future. That's generally how history books are presented, to educate the youth to make sure they don't do anything from the past that is negative, as well as try to bestow, goodwill towards others. This is sort of that other element, too, that most history books try to teach you. And it's also, too, it's sort of a slight propaganda behind making, depending what country it is, look good at some elements. Again, at the end of the day, it's just how it is, and how it's going to be. With this game, it was quite interesting how they actually portrayed most of this. They actually showed, while some of it is slightly fictional, they actually bestowed some sort of humanity behind it, which I thought was compelling. They showed, how humans can act barbaric within a blind cause. Some people acting barbaric behind some sort of structural, just acting nuts for no freaking reason, rebelling, which at some points is a good thing. At the same time, it's just something that can go too far. And it's, to me, I think, not really an educational tool for kids to play, but for most adults to look at and reflect and go, damn, that's some deep shit. That's generally what I took out of it. It was like, wow, that is some pretty cold and dark stuff that is actually quite interesting. I mean, I didn't learn anything because most of the stuff I did and was aware of. I mean, it, again, portrays some elements from actual history. And some of that history is actually, what the heck's the area? What is that place called? It's the Battle of something or other there. Hurtfoot or something like that. I having a brain fart. But anyway, it's just they taken like transcripts from World War One and all this stuff. I mean, I actually did not notice this until after. So they actually took a British propaganda poster for recruitment, and they actually redrew it out in the game. And I thought it was pretty wild, actually, to see that. It was, after a while, I was like, wait a minute, that looks familiar, so I Googled it. I looked up all these posters and all these little elements from the game, because some of them I was not familiar with, per se, because I'm not some sort of super-duper, history major or anything, so I was clueless a little bit, so I always got myself educated. I was like, oh, cool. Because it was really fascinating how they actually built the game around a lot of elements of history. Some of the posters, if not a lot of the posters, will be some sort of reference towards historical elements, as well as some of the scenes and items in the game are actually somewhat intuitive towards the previous life that most of our forefathers have lived. And as well as some of the hardships that such cultures as the African American, Asian, as well as, the Irish, they would call them the minority group. And again, it was just really interesting to see this happen around me. It was such a beautiful, I'm not going to say the negativity was beautiful, but the whole story premise was really, really well taught, or really well told. Excuse me. But either way, I think that with Bioshock Infinite, it didn't really push any boundaries, let alone what a book or a history book would try to teach you. Because, if it's something that you flinch at, simply do not read the history book if you're that offended. At the same time, it's just like with this video game. If it really offends you so much, why? I wouldn't even understand the element of even getting upset about it. Most of this stuff is not anything new they're trying to present to everybody to feel bad about themselves for being who they are. It's simply just being told. When a teacher told me about some of the segregation back in the 60s, I didn't cry, I didn't get upset. I just said, damn, I'm going to grow up not to be offensive towards anyone of a different color, of a different sex, of that said respectable thing. Again, it's to me not a bad thing with Bioshock Infinite. If anyone who is a activist simply rambles off about this, just let them ramble, because it's really, to me, not offensive. Oh, because you're not black, you're not Asian. No, see, that's the thing, of course, you will easily portray. You will easily point that out to anybody, that, oh, well, because we're not this, we don't feel that. No. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, including white, Asian, black, Egyptian, whatever, touch my nipples, Hebrew, Jewish, everybody, at some point, went through something really barbaric, chaotic, and very troublesome. Anybody could easily take out a piece of history and point out, say, this is something that was bad, and this is something that helped us rise up, this is something that helped us grow as a human civilization, as a group, as an entity. So again, please, spare me, that said element. Because again, I think that all of us were at one point linked. We were connected to this same element. The price of freedom, the price of anything, is what you can strive for. And, as far as I'm concerned, anything I see such as this truly doesn't offend me. So, anyway, hope you guys are all having a good night, and after seeing some of the elements of this game, or any game in particular, what game out there actually did offend you? Now, I'm not here to bash you because you said you're offended about something. I'm actually quite curious. Because, every once in a while you have games such as Clyde's Revenge, which was an Atari game, the picturization of, some cowboy with his pants off, all clothes off, molesting some innocent Native American woman, or some native, and, it was quite tasteless and all that, and that's really one of the few games I can honestly point out and go, that's probably the only thing I can see as offensive, but past that, whatever. It's just a game. But anyway, guys, take it easy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care. Hope to hear and see your responses soon.